Did Mark at the end?
Yes.
Mark.
I knew it.
You knew it. Are you psychic?
I felt something.
Okay. I wanted to talk to you about when you were talking about autism.
Yes.
And the kids coming through today with autism.
Yeah.
Well, I have a grandson who's autistic, and I think the vaccines have caused autism, maybe not from the spirit world as such. And if you go to, like, America in the Amish, there is no autism. So for me, being like, autism comes from the jabs that these governments are giving the kids and causing them to be in a situation like that. Would that not be reasonable?
I have a daughter who is on the spectrum and she's not been vaccinated.
Okay, and you have autism as well?
Who?
Your daughter, I thought.
Yeah, she's on the spectrum.
I mean, I'm not saying that's not possible, but I do know that a lot of autism now is caused by the vaccinations from the children that they're given from when they're born.
Definitely vaccine damage autism. I believe that, but I don't see it as a standard thing, you know, across everybody with autism.
No, I don't say it's everybody, but
it's lots of variables involved, I think, and you know, some people will have be naturally autistic, and some people may be damaged. You know,
there's a lot in this world that's going on that's being caused by the people in this world, which is causing damage to our children.
Yeah,
and I think that's a massive priority to try and get that sorted. Yeah. And I think if we did that, then our children will be able to live a lot happier and be able to grow spiritually in a lot better way than what they are now. So I just wanted to...
That's the reason that we chose the path.
That we put that across.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, is it a path or is it the vaccines that have... I mean, there's 20-odd million people who've died with the vaccine, so there's some horrible people here that need sorting as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. Being a medium myself, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And the other thing is...
Can I just add to that?
Yes.
Okay, so everything... You know, I was talking about the dimensions.
Yeah, I understand all that, yeah.
Okay, so what goes on in 4D density, so the vaccines and everything like that, on a higher dimensional level where the light goes and the dark, dense, nefarious activity cannot, there's always a higher purpose. So even though all the dark stuff that's going on feels like it's here for doom and gloom, it's actually to shake up, it's actually to create more light, to bring the frequency in. So sometimes we have to go through the true cycle of destruction of what shouldn't be here anymore to create the light. So although it feels really dark, the starseed children, the children that are coming in with or without the vaccine-related issues, are here to create a different version of this, because this isn't working. So although it feels like it's horrendous, it's actually, there's always a much broader purpose for everything. You have to go in and see it from the bigger
I
picture.
absolutely understand that. I've been working with spirit for over 20 years and I work with people all the time, so I totally get that. But I also understand what Miles says, is that there's situations on this earth that need to be cleared, and I think that's important, that we become adults and we have our own mind, and that we can stand up spiritually and in human form and be adult and say no more. And I think there has to be a balance.
I think it's really important to not just blame one vaccine, but actually to think, how can we not medicate these kids?
Oh, well, I think the whole thing needs to be redone. And I understand that this is a big change in life, and that we're coming into a different way of being, and we've got to get through this chaotic time to come out the other end. So I do understand that, like I say. The other thing I need to ask, the other question, was with the lady with the blue... Yeah? I'm just going to ask this because... Jeanie. Sorry, Jeanie.
It's all right, don't worry.
Okay. You know, you talked about the moon, and I understand astrology and all that sort of thing. And we're talking about north and southern nodes.
South and north nodes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just wanted to ask, because I'm a massive researcher, you see, and I like to find out about everything. And I'm searching, if you could say, for the truth of everything.
Yeah.
Okay. So if the moon is a spaceship, which they're saying it is, and it's not organic, and it's like it's supposed to have a metal outside, and it's people are, well, whatever is inside. How does how do those nodes work on a spaceship, and also how does that work in astrology, like predicting future north and whatever?
Well, the nodes of the moon, they're not actually in the moon. They're actually mathematical coordinates.
Okay,
so they're positions in space.
Right.
So, like, say, whatever the moon is, and we don't, none of us know, but whatever the moon is, whether it's a spaceship or a space station or a portal, whatever it is, it absolutely influences.
It does influence, yeah.
And the nodes of the moon, which again, it's best to Google it because there's loads of information, but they're like mathematical coordinates.
Right, okay. So it's mathematical.
That are linked to the zodiac.
Okay.
And so whatever they are pertinent to the astrological zodiac that we've been immersed in for thousands of years. So I think it's not really about what the moon is. It's more to do with this reality that
it's the mathematical that is giving off.
And it is mathematical. And I can't obviously. I'm not an astrologer or an astrocartographer. I can only tell you that if you look at the nodes of the moon and you do your birth chart, they are absolutely pertinent to the kind of life that, or the lessons.
I can understand you talking on a mathematical sequence more than the actual moon itself.
And to be fair, I'm not. It's obviously I don't do the math. That's already been instilled over many thousands of years.
Okay.
I didn't even know there were nodes of the moon until in 2021.
I understand.
But they make sense with everything else. And don't forget, my nodes pertinent to my journey of synchronicity go straight to Swansea, which is pretty much why I sit here today.
Yeah, so I understand. I understand what you're saying. You're saying it's a mathematical sequence.
Yeah,
that's it.
No, you're welcome. Okay.
That's clarified that.
Okay.
Can I have one more question to Mark? And I think this is important, Mark, because have you ever read David Icke's book, The Dream?
The Dream? No.
It's the latest one that he's brought out.
No.
Okay, so like I work with the spirit world as you did, doing all the churches and theatres and all this sort of thing. And what he's saying is that if we go, when we make that transition and we go towards the light, and you talked about going towards the light, so I just want your opinion on this, and we go through the light, then we're going into an astral situation where we're being controlled by reptilians or whatever, and then he says that we come back and they wipe your mind and we come back and reincarnate. So that, have you ever heard of Robert Monroe?
Yes.
Yeah, so he was a out-of-body traveller with extensive travel, and he talked about Loosh. Have you heard of that?
Loosh, yeah.
So I'm talking to you as one medium to the other. Like when we go back, is it your opinion that we go into the light, or do we avoid that light? What do you feel? And that's my last question.
I think the answer to that is more natural than choosing. So I think it's the level of awareness and knowledge that we have passing from here, and then from what I feel with the light. And with our family members waiting at the light, all them stories, I think there's a possibility that they might not be your family members sometimes, right? And then you are attracted back into the system, but the choice would be made on an unconscious level of knowing within your soul. So if you're not going to question that when you're going to get out there and see that, and if you go directly to it, not thinking and happy for the reunion and going back into it, then that's where you are in your development. But if you want to turn around and look what's behind you when you get out there and head back that way, then you got the choice to do that as well if you have the knowledge. So that's what I think. That's my opinion.
Can I just say one thing? Is there anybody else who wants to comment on that?
You've done I've got what we need.
Other people might want to hear.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. So
Can I just say one thing? When we leave our body, we are still the same person as we are now. Yeah. So we can in your opinion, we can consciously.
Are we
make
the
that.
same person, though?
Pardon?
Are we the same person?
Well, I think we are. I think I'll still be who I am now as when I leave this body. So, I just feel we'll have a conscious decision to make. But I just wanted to see your opinion, because more and more information is coming out all the time, and it's something that we've got to keep an open mind about. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think when you just mentioned about being the same person, again, that's an awareness and knowledge thing. If we're unconscious leaving here, then we'll be the same person.
We'll be unconscious when we get there. Absolutely.
And we'll be the same person. But if we understand how it works, like my belief now may present something different to me when I get back over there. So I might not think I'm that person, or I might tune into the person that I actually am.
Yeah, well, I understand that, but
it's a minefield.
Yeah, it is a minefield, and I absolutely agree. Yeah. But I just wanted to thank Mark for that, and thank you for all that. Okay.
Before, so with regards to my personal experience, I had a friend pass over, and I went to his funeral. And during his funeral, he was telling me what was entrapping him through the actual service. Now, the vicar who was making the service wasn't even aware of this, but he was telling me from the other side what was actually holding his soul, the words that were being used in the service itself, of what was actually holding his soul here, and then not letting him go further. And one other thing with regards to Loosh, I've specifically named the website Loosh because there's two, we both have a front and a back. Everything is polar. Loosh, if we're sort of trying, they're feeding this negativity on Loosh. So it's life force, and it's one of those things that they're trying to scare us away from, so that we can continue unknowingly feeding other things. So this is what I'm trying to do. Perfect.
Can I just come in quickly there with something you said? When you talked about that the things they were doing in this service was keeping the soul anchored. And I believe that any form of remembrance or gravestone anchors a soul here instead of releasing it properly. So I totally agree with what you say there.
Yeah, definitely. Brilliant. Right. Any other comments from you before we break it out? Thank you, Trinity.
I've got there's a little bit extra to add with the soul aspects, as far as I feel, is that we don't necessarily just go as one soul, because there's so many aspects to self, and because it's a different dimension, we're just moving out of the physical into the fourth dimension, then there's no such thing as time there, so it's very difficult to comprehend as humans that it's just this one being and it goes to regroup with the family, or it goes to regroup here, because all of those aspects are having multiple experiences all the time, and they all fit in with what's been learnt, what hasn't been learnt, what the soul's lessons, purpose, destiny points, part of their soul contracts, part of their soul groups contracts, how that's shifting with the collective. There's so many different aspects to what happens when you pass over. Just a little piece of the aspect is the bit that then comes back and communicates through mediumship. I am also mediumship trained, by the way. That's how I became a channel, because it really helps. So there's so much more to it, and I think it's really, really important to keep an open mind for little nuggets of information that we can get along the way, so that we can kind of get a broader picture.
Is there any other questions that we've got for these amazing people? Yes, come.
Thank you. Yeah, you say about the gravestone. I'm intrigued. Yeah. So can you clarify that?
Yeah. So
go for it.
I can't think. Early burial. Go back to the time when we were Stone Age. We didn't. We didn't. Back in it. Sorry.
Deborah.
Yeah.
I'm a Deborah.
Right, Deb. we didn't used to mark a grave. We would take a body and put it into the woodlands, and the animals would take care of that, and that soul would be free. Yeah. So when you put a monument there or an inscription, you hold them there.
That's right.
Yeah. So sometimes when your relatives pass or they pass on, and you know that they're around you because you're keeping them there.
That's right.
You know,
exactly
you've
right.
got to say goodbye. You've got to let them move on. Yeah. You know, you can't keep... I know it's great for us to keep them here, but it isn't for them.
I wouldn't want to.
Yeah,
I just want them to, you know...
So for me, I said
be
to
free.
Mark, just cremate me and let me go on the moors.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can connect with them anyway. You connect into the different versions of them.
Yeah. Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Any other comments on that? Or are you keeping that between yourselves?
That's it. She's done a better job than me.
Brilliant. Any other questions? Oh, yes, please. Just mind the wires when you come up.
I'd just like to thank everyone, you know, today. You've been amazing. I've really enjoyed today, particularly. Quick question to you all. How about if you haven't got a soul or you've lost it? And the other thing I'd like to say to that is, that there are different versions, okay, that you know, some people are saying here. But if you haven't got a soul, you've done a soul contract, you're lost completely. What happens to you, and how does that work? Thank you.
In what context do you mean haven't got a soul?
Say there are. I think there's people that haven't got souls. Are you saying that's not possible?
The soul is information, isn't it? So it's data.
Well, I believe in light beings. You know, we haven't really covered that either, but yeah.
I personally believe there's people here that hasn't got a soul as such. They get their energy from elsewhere. Mm-hmm. That goes into more, for me, into more thought form, ergo kind of thing, where if you've created a being from your mind, then the only sustenance they're going to get is from you. And then that's where low stories and frequencies come in. Yeah. But those low stories are what feeds them anyway. One thing I feel like I got to say to you is a soul can never be trapped. Only a mind can be trapped. And then the mind manipulates the soul to be trapped. So
is that the same with like jinn beings? I mean, they can control souls, or they can take the power from the soul, or, you know.
I don't think any control can be made of our souls without our consent, whether it be unconscious or conscious consent. We'd be tricked.
I disagree. I disagree with you.
Okay, cool.
Another question is...
this is good.
Just, I suppose it's more directed to you, Mark, a little bit. It is Mark, isn't it? Yeah, okay. With Kabbalistic magic and the powers to be that do all this, I believe from what Miles says that they can re-edit, or so they can edit your past. Okay? Now, the question is a bit, if they can edit the past, haven't they got control of the future? And then where does that put us?
I'm not qualified.
Good question. Let me think about that a minute.
But I think what you're going to say is there's different versions of us.
If they can change,
so, and there's nothing infinite and stuff like that. But you know where I'm going with this, because the technology's there, where the past can be edited, I believe. I mean, you've shown enough evidence today, you know, with different things.
Have you been looking at looking glass evidence or what?
Yeah, and Kabbalistic magic, Enochian magic, in fact.
Yeah. Again, it has to be consent from our souls. They can go back, it's a timeline thing. They can go back and change a timeline to manipulate an outcome.
Yeah.
And as you know, I think everything's in the now. So I don't believe in past, future. I believe what we do now changes the past anyway, and changes the future. So yeah, they could do that. They can send a narrative right now. We can make a narrative now, and it'll change something in the past. So again, yeah, they may have technology for it, but I think the real technology in changing timelines and changing things like that is to do with what they tell us now. That's how we're being attacked with media, negative images, negative stories. It's all control, it's all magic, and it's all multi-layered. It looks innocent. Some of the stories are so stupid. You think, what are they saying that for? But it has a deeper level. It has a trinity to it. They can penetrate our consciousness and get us to create what they want. So it's one of them, and it depends which way you look at it then. Are you looking at it from a victim, or are you looking at it from an empowered person? Because then...
Yeah, I got you on that, yeah.
It depends on how much it's going to work. So it's a complex...
Well, thank you very much. Yeah. I've got loads of millions of questions. I ain't going to go on about stuff, but thank you so much for today. It's been great. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well done. Great question. Deborah, you were just about to have not a disagreement, but a difference of opinion, which is always everybody in this room. Yes, let's hear it.
I forgot what the question was now. Anyway. I didn't mean really strongly disagree. I think you worded it differently than I would word it, because we're coming from different places, aren't we, and different knowledge kind of thing. So yeah, I didn't really badly disagree with you.
I'm only joking with you anyway.
I know.
So it was about the soul with regards to, does everyone have one, or are there some individuals without them? And
I wanted to give an example, really. I've worked with a number of people who would have what we'd call an attachment, right? And 90% of them want rid of it. But I've met 10% who embrace it and hug it and take it inside. They want that darkness. They really enjoy that negativity. It gives them power and ego, that kind of thing. I think that's what I was trying to, get at. It's like there's some people who just really like that negativeness, isn't there?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Any other questions? Yes. Do you want to come up, or do you want me to just?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. It was brilliant today. I really enjoyed it. Well done. So it's just great to have this, sort of thing, and it's just lovely. So yeah, right. I forgot my question now. I've got two questions, if that's okay. I experienced, I know it was an abduction. I had two abductions, but they were slightly different. The first one, I kind of opened my eyes and I was just below the ceiling, above my bed, and I know that I wasn't dreaming, because I could see this mark, and I thought it was a straight line, but it wasn't a straight line. It was a tick, because I saw it up close. I saw that it was a tick. So and I saw it and I thought, oh wow, what am I doing here? And as soon as I sort of said that to myself, I was dropped, and I bounced in the bed. And it was really odd. But I just would like to know who did that and why, who you think it was. Do you think, like for example, do you think it was the Greys, or do you think it was military, or
I think you did it.
Any other group?
Yeah. I think you did that.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Sounds like an out of body.
I was going to say the same. I think it was you.
I have done a few out of bodies, actually.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think it can be frightening in that state when it happens.
Right.
You lose all control, don't you? If you think you've lost all control of your meat body.
Yeah.
But what's happening here is very different. So you can astral travel, and you can literally bounce back in. My daughter did. She's very good at astral travel. On one occasion, she couldn't get back in, and it absolutely terrified her. She's never done it since. So for about 10 years, she's never tried it again.
You said that you can literally bounce in. What do you mean, physically?
Yourself, you can be up here and see yourself in the bed.
Yeah.
Literally see yourself within that bed.
Wow.
And then, but that you've got to come back. There's got to be an exchange of energy.
Yeah.
And then boom, you're in yourself again.
It can be a hard landing sometimes.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you remember the first time that you felt anything like that you couldn't explain?
I've had loads of spiritual experiences right from when I was very young.
Right.
From about the age of 3.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
I've seen things.
You see things in your bedroom?
Entities, at the end of my bed, but good ones.
Right. So you're protected.
One put energy through the bottom of my feet. And I got up and I thought I was going to fail my exam when I was doing my acupuncture course. and I actually thought that I was going to fail because my roof at the time had crashed, and it just ruined all my paperwork.
Yeah.
Because nobody was using computers then. My paperwork was completely ruined, and I had about 2 weeks to do 2 years' worth of paperwork. And what happened was there was this thing at the end of my bed, and all I remember is whoever it was, I felt I had a connection to it, and I was laughing with it. It was making me laugh. It was a very positive experience. And when I woke up, I just felt really high, vibrational and really energetic, and I just rushed through all that coursework. I stayed up till 3 o'clock in the morning, like for about a week, and got it done in a week. Couldn't believe it. Incredible.
We're magical beings, aren't we? We really are, but we're energy beings.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think maybe over time, you've let society make you not believe it. So you're questioning it, almost doubting it in a way.
Yeah.
That's your power.
Yeah.
That's your power. So the next time you feel like you can't do something or something's going to be wrong, you remember that moment.
Yeah.
And that being at the bottom of your bed, and you'll be able to do what you need to do.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Amazing. Any other questions? Yes? Do you want to come up?
My question's for Deborah. Your friend who was with you when you had your very first experience, you didn't tell us what happened to her. Are you still in touch with her? Did you make up? Does she acknowledge it? And what did she say? Because it's a definite corroboration of your sighting.
She calls him the gorilla man. So for her, he was the gorilla man. For me, he was the man-ape. That's what I called him. And I'm going to be brutally honest, I was awful to her. I blamed her. When I went to school the next day, I didn't speak to her. Every time she tried to speak to me, I blamed her. It was her fault that happened, you know? 16, we went straight to work, you know. So she still lives in the same town as me, and I do know her on Facebook. She was at my wedding, and I was at her wedding, and our children grew up together. But every now and again, we wouldn't discuss it, but every now and again, and she would say it with spite, do you remember when you pushed me to the floor and ran away? And I would say, look, I'm sorry. I am sorry. I just acted primal. So yeah, there's always been that between us. But I've got to be honest and say I was so frightened that I made her the demon. You get what I mean? I kind of put it all onto her. Yeah. But she's out there. She knows what I do. You know, she wants nothing to do with it. It was the worst moment of her life, and she wants nothing to do with it. And it was the worst moment of my life, and I need to know. So I think it's just that. I think we're just very different people.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Any other questions? No? Yes?
I saw two moons in the sky, a large one, normal one, and then looking over there was a smaller version. It looked like a mirror image, and I've never seen anything like it before or since. Have you ever heard of that happening to anyone?
I've never heard of that.
No.
I've never seen something like that, but
yeah,
you've seen it, and that's evidence. I've seen the moon do some weird things, but
not that one.
Not the two moons like that. And it could have been a reflection. Could have been a mirror.
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
Yeah, we don't really understand what goes on up there, really.
No,
sometimes.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. One more one question.
It's not so much a question. Thank you for your stories, your experiences, your courage, and I think Miles calling the BASES project a home for dissident science. This is not science. This is intuition, this is experience, this is insight, this is knowing, this is looking at the bigger picture. This is the real courage that creates a future that is now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agree 100%. Any other questions? No? Anything you'd like to say on closing?
Thank you to you lot.
Yeah. Yes.
No, just thank you for your thanks. It's been brilliant to be here, and thanks for your grace and your hearts and your minds, and yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Miles.
Miles, have you got anything to say?
Thank you very much for being part of the Q&A.